Hi everyone, Stefano here. Today I'm gonna walk you through the track I wrote for our new bundle, the Strings Collection, that features the Intimate Legato series, so both cello and violin, String Swells Pro, and string shades. It's a stunning collection of libraries. I'm a huge fan of the sound. I find it really realistic and inspiring, and I deeply resonate with all of them, in fact. And as a composer, it's just a pleasure to be able to have that sound under my fingertips. So the track I wrote is in a contemporary classical direction, and we're gonna have a look at it, and I'm gonna go a bit more in detail about the libraries I used and how I used them. It's gonna be fun, so let's do it. As you can see from the project, I've used chamber swells, so we have string swells pro, wind swells, and brass swells. Here we have string shades, and finally at the bottom, the Intimate Legato series with the cello and violin. You can use these libraries in a million different ways, but the way I use them here, and I think is quite successful and effective, is using the Intimate Legato, of course, to create melodies, and they truly shine when you want to create slow, emotional, lyrical melodies, as they're incredibly realistic. This is the melody I played with the cello, and it's a hint of the theme, so we don't give away immediately the whole theme as that one plays in the second section. You can see here I've used huge space. These are all the presets, the snapshots, and I love it as there's this beautiful reverb that surrounds the sounds. This cello sounds fantastic in both high range and in the lower range. You don't even have to move the mod wheel too much, as it just sounds great as it is. Then after that, we have the Intimate Legato violin, still with huge space, that plays the same melody an octave higher. These libraries were both recorded in the same space with the same sonic direction technique, so they complement each other incredibly well. Then moving up, we have string shades, and for the intro in particular, I wanted to use it to create this background, fairly subtle in a way, because I wanted people to listen carefully to the melody as it's the first time I introduce it, but to have this background that feels alive. And this is where the library really shines. This is a textural library with 5 different articulations, undulating, emotive, pulsing, wild trees, and fragments. Each of them is really unique, and it has this beautiful imperfection in the sounds, this creativity that you cannot tame it. Also, you notice here there's a character slider, which is a new slider we introduced with this library. These are 5 different pads, soundscapes, and of course you can combine them. This is the volume. So they add basically extra depth to your sound. So, in my opinion, truly stunning. You don't need really much to create a sonic soundscape that it's engaging, alive. As you can tell, I'm a fan. What I really like as well also is that you can combine the articulations. You can pan them left and right all together, or, just by toggling this. And of course, there's also the mapping here, which is something that it's taken from String Swells and applied here. So you can really create your own custom ensemble. And then finally, in this intro, we have Arctic Tundra, which is from String Swells Pro. And this one also, you can see here, is one of the design patches, the first one. And I really like it. You can see here it's 4 bars, it's sustained. So this means that the notes don't end in the same place if you play one after the other. But you can change that in here with the legato. But I like the scatter feeling here. I also harmonized the melody here. And that leads naturally to section 2. You can see it's basically led by the swells. I used sul tasto from String Swells, no rebo, and you can change that here if you want the rebo, but I like it without. And I made my own custom mix here with the microphones. String Swells is great, as especially in this piece, is like the backbone that carries the piece and the emotion with the swells, and at the same time it has harmony. I forgot to say that this one is legato, so you can see here I change the notes. So you need basically always one note that continues. You can change any notes in your chord during the swell and they will always end up in the same space, unlike what I showed with Arctic Tundra. So for example, of course, if you put it to 4 bars, you can just drag it basically if you want. You have more time and you can create a small melody really. But with 2 bars, I think I only had time to change 2 chords, which is a D that goes into an E. That's basically the core idea. So you have harmony, you have movement, you have emotions. It's basically a really, really good deal. And it's just great because you don't have to waste time really writing with the mod wheel, with the pencil. You can see here this is like, I don't know why it's here, but there's nothing. And they sound incredibly realistic because they were recorded that way. They're proper performances. It's supported here by wind swells and brass swells. I just tried it because it was so easy to just copy, the MIDI file and just assign it to wind swells to have a different textures. You have 5 different articulations, and I chose the one I liked, and I thought, air could give this nice airy feeling, and same for brass swells. And we have normale, loud, pulsed, muted, air. So you can combine different bar lengths, legato, non-legato, 5 articulations, the mapping. So the possibilities are like many. And this is how the swells sound all together. It's really quick and easy to create. First, full orchestral mock-ups with brass and winds, and then something that is not static, has movement and emotions. Depending on what section and what energy I want, I chose different articulations from the swells. So here, still towards the beginning of the piece, and I chose sul tasto, which is fairly soft, and normale and air. Here, there's a build-up. I chose tremolo. We still have Arctic Tundra. Wind swells, for example, has got pulse, flutter, molto vibrato, and brass swells went from normale to mute. And this is how the tremolo sounds. I'm not going to go too much in detail in the harmony I've used because there are many chords, first of all, and it would become a very long video. But I didn't use many like extended chords or like difficult harmonies. For example, in this section is B minor that goes into F sharp major. And then B minor that goes into E major. Moving down, string shades basically is doing the same thing as the chamber swells, but here there's wild trails, which is a really, really interesting articulation, which I haven't showed before, and sounds like this. As you can tell, maybe because I played it before, I really like to play octaves with this the Intimate Legato series. There's so much emotion in it. Altogether is basically this force that pushes us to the reprise. So listen a moment. An answer from the violin. And finally, we are in section 4, which is the end almost. It could be divided as well into 2 parts, as this first part repeats the same theme, as you can see here, with 5 different intimate legato soloists. The strings are normale, 3 instances, Arctic Tundra. So even brass is playing with loud, so this feels much bigger than before. And our audience now hopefully remembers the theme, so I can just fully appreciate it. And from this part onwards, it doesn't change much with the chamber swells, but I added a new part played by string shades and some of the soloists, while we have a very high violin playing the same theme. It sounds like this. So you can see here, this is a theme, da, 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 dum. And then we have, you want to play something that, like a counter melody that complements the melody, rather there's something that adds even something, you know, just feels too complicated and random. There are some moments they go together, which I think is important, so it feels still cohesive. And to recap, Intimate Legato series is top-notch for slow emotional melodies. And the violin is equally good. Then we have String Shades that focuses more on textures, untamed creativity, beautiful imperfections, 5 different articulations. It's a 14-piece string ensemble, and you can mix and match the articulations. There's also a character slider with pads that you can combine, and it sounds like this with undulating pulsing and a pad. And you can create these incredibly beautiful, effective, compelling soundscapes and mix and match the articulations. And then finally, we have string swells. And in this piece, I've used also wind swells and brass swells because it was just so easy to use them and quick. And string swells also features similar interface to String Shades, 5 different articulations, rebow and no rebow options, different bar lengths, legato and non-legato mapping page, and it's fantastic for, you know, coming up with harmony that has movement, that carries emotion. It's one of my favorite library ever to date, to this day, as it really allowed me to improve my harmonic language in a way that I didn't even expect. So these were the libraries that are featured with our new bundle. For each of them, there's a detailed walkthrough. If you want to learn more about this library, please check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Of course, if you have any questions about the piece or the libraries, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to reply. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.